Aspen Ridge Lawn and Landscape, and today we're going to talk about some succulents. In recent years, succulents have kind of boomed in popularity, specifically, these types inside your house. These are all annual types, so you can have them out during the summer, and they would love that. They love hot, direct sun, but you definitely want to bring them in during the winter, so they're a great option for a house plant. There's a ton of different varieties, from echeverias to sedums to a ton of other ones, and we're constantly getting in more all the time at Aspen Ridge. So today we're going to plant this one, which is a type of echeveria. It's really important when planting succulents to give them a lot of drainage. They don't like to stay wet. They like to, get watered but then fully dry out in between waterings. And a good way to know if your succulent is ready to be watered is if you give the leaves a slight squeeze, and if they're still firm, it has plenty of water in it. It doesn't need more. If it starts to have a little bit of softness, then you can go ahead and give it a little bit of water. Also, what's really good is you can use regular soil, but we really recommend either a cactus and succulent mix or making your own, which is what I'll be doing today. The easiest way to make your own mix is to mix about 50% soil and 50% sand. So I'm just using a normal play sand that we have here in our normal potting mix. It's a bit wet because it's outside in the rain. And I usually just put it into another bucket that I have and kind of eyeball the 50-50 measurements. And if it seems like a little too much soil or a little bit too much sand, then you can go ahead and just keep mixing it or add more of whatever you think. And you're just gonna make sure and give it lots of nice turns. That looks like about pretty good. I might just add a little bit more soil to it. Really mix it in all. Another really important thing to have when you're planting succulents is a lot of the drainage, like I was saying. So these are some of the pots that we have here that do great with your succulents. And I actually drill the holes in the bottom of them, and I'm going to drill a fourth one. You don't have to necessarily put all four in the divots there, but I like to just because I don't want it to hold a lot of extra water. So I'm going to do it right here. Great. Don't want to do it on the glass. And then I just fill it in a little bit in the bottom. Now, if you do have a pot that you can't drill a hole in, an easy way to add some extra drainage so it's not sitting on the water is to fill the bottom with rocks. That way, when you do water, it's going to drain down, and the plant and soil is not going to sit in that water in the bottom. The rocks will kind of separate the soil and the bottom of the pot so you can have drainage. So this one is an echeveria, has really healthy roots that are kind of going down, but succulents don't need a ton of soil all the time. So what I'm going to do, because this is such a shallow pot, I am breaking up a lot of the soil that's compacted at the bottom with the roots, leaving a lot of them attached, and I'll probably break off a little bit of the soil at the top here just to make sure to get some fresh stuff on there. And I just really try to loosen it up. And then I'll make sure it'll fit in there. And so it should be right, just basically that soil lane should be right underneath the top edge of where your pot is. So I'll just kind of wiggle it around in there. And then I'll backfill it with more sandy soil. So I'm actually not going to water this one in right away because the soil already has a lot of moisture and my succulent is plenty firm. Now, like I was saying, you're really going to want to give your succulent as much sunlight as possible. There's a few varieties that can take a little bit of part shade, and those ones would make really great house plants. But succulents have, when they don't get enough light, they have a tendency to stretch, which just means that they don't stay this nice compact shape. They kind of lengthen out and the leaves kind of get spread out a bit. And besides pulling off leaves and starting a fresh plant over. There's really no way to fix it once it has happened. So if you decide to bring this in over the winter, just find the sunniest spot you have. You can even get some artificial light to help out if you really want to, but it really needs, you know, 6+ hours of sunlight a day when it says full sun. I'm just really trying to not get the soil too much on the base of the plant because it kind of holds moisture a little bit of time, and that way I don't have to worry about the plant staying too wet at its base and rotting out. And there's some simple care tips about your succulent. Now, you can leave it just like this, or if you have any decorative rocks or decorative sand, you can go ahead and do a little bit of a layer around the bottom of it just to kind of brighten it up so you don't have that soil, look of that soil. But that is a basic planting of your succulent with some sandy soil mixture and some basic care tips.